Hello students, good morning all of you. Today I Ravindra Mohan Mishra from Sri Jagdamba Sanskrit College Batho am taking the class of Shastri first. We have learned, seen the critical appreciation of poem. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. We have also seen its impact, its saying for us. Today we are seeing the explanation from this very poem. For such, today I have taken the paragraph. For this first paragraph is, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or drink not of the Piran spring. Their shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. These lines have been taken from the poem A Little Learning is a Dangerous Thing. These lines are composed by Alexander Pope. Pope is by far the most important poetic figure of the age called after him, that is between 1700 to 1740. His importance lies in the fact that he exercised the greatest influence on the classical poetry of the century. His poetry was intellectual, didactic, and satiric, and was almost written in heroic couplet. It is never of the highest class, but within its limits it stands unrivaled in the language. This poem is broken into three different parts. The first part, or the opening paragraph of poems, by describing the ways literary writers can actually cause harm. When we only know a little, we can cause a lot of damage. This proverb aims to combat the pernicious effects of inadequate learning, such as pride, confusion, poor decisions, etc. Pope argues that writers must be both careful and humble when critiquing a piece of literature, for the writing of bad criticism actually hurts poetry more than the writing of bad poetry does. Pope points out that each writer has his or her own opinion. If applied incorrectly, a writer can actually censor a talented writer. However, Pope argues that if a writer is honest and does not fall prey to envy and listens to the shades of understanding that are naturally a part of him or herself, one can become a wise critic in this way. The Greek came to understand poetry through following the rules of nature, argues Pope, and contemporary critics must do the same. Part of the joy of reading Pope is his universality. After so many years, his verse continues to impart on his readers a knowledge that is both insightful and applicable. Indeed, one is often surprised by how much these lines and a score of others resonate with contemporary attitude. This quotation first of all appears in Pope's An Essay on Criticism, whereby the poet observes certain patterns in critical engagement with the art of his time. Regardless of the context, the sorts of habits of judgment Pope lambasts against are as much true now as they were over 250 years ago. According to him, poor judgment abundance in all ages. In short, we conclude that for Pope, the focus is art of receiving good knowledge. The first line is a simple assertion that learning the accumulated knowledge on a topic, field, or expertise requires a certain degree of respect and attention to be taken seriously. The first and perhaps most problematic is ideologically parallel to an earlier line of the same poem. Now we come on the second paragraph of the poem. How far your genius, taste, and learning go, launch not beyond your depth. Some never advance a judgment of their own, but catch the spreading notion of the town. These lines have been taken from the poem A Little Learning is a Dangerous Thing. These lines are composed by Alexander Pope. Pope is by far the most important poetic figure of the age, called after his name. His importance lies in the fact that he exercised the greatest influence on the classical poetry of the country. His poetry was intellectual, didactic, and satiric, and was almost written in heroic couplet. In these lines, the poet gives us gives us an idea of a concrete or solid knowledge. In these above lines, the po- in these above lines, Pope is telling us of a problem he observes in poetry, and yet he uses the very conventions he is warning of: dull monotony of meter and forced rhyme scheme to explain his point. He is not above the faults of other poets, and he is happy to let us know. Unfortunately, now, as much as in Pope's day, people regularly transcend their depth of knowledge and skill in any given field. The problem with reason and judgment is that too many people have no idea that they have needed. Convinced of its certainty, the ego feeds on what it thinks it knows. This is dangerous not only for the individual who, intoxicated by his crudely perceived intellectualism, passes half-formed judgments, but for the whole who have been subjected to these same ideas and now ignorantly disseminate them further. Internet communities are a prime example of this. Here we find unsubstantiated claims, little more than a collected feeling, self perpetuating as dogma by various sub communities. In short, we conclude that these lines give us a glimpse of Pope's philosophy of life. These are replete with abundant pathos which reflects the personal grief and despair of a poet of Pope's eminence. The poet was unknown to possess a noble and lofty character, and his conduct was akin to his nature and temperament. Now, in the next class, we learn further explanation of this very poem